Hey y'all, I'm headed out to get some chicken feed started fermenting. I'm starting a new batch today, and I've been meaning to do an updated video on this, so today's the day. I did a video, it's been probably 2 years ago now. Has it been that long? I think it has. On fermenting chicken feed, and that video has been pretty popular. It's gotten a decent amount of views, and it's still getting views, and people have questions, and I've done my best to answer those questions as I've seen them, but I'm just continually thinking, you know, it would be a good idea to update and do an updated video because I have changed some things. Now that video is not bad information at all. I have just found some things that work better for me and have just changed up some of my techniques, learned a lot since then, and I'll link that video if you want to watch it, but I thought it'd be beneficial to show you what I'm doing now and to answer some of those questions that I keep seeing. So this is going to be day number 1, and one of the first things you're going to notice is that is the same bucket that I was using in that first video. It is just not nearly as clean. I have learned that you don't have to scrub it. You don't have to scrub it out. You can even keep some of that same liquid to boost your next bucket of fermented feed. So yeah, same bucket, it's just not perfectly clean anymore, and that's fine. Alright, I'm going to cover this feed with some water, and I do just use water from the water hose. Let me get you a ring seat. I'm going to cover it by a couple of inches. And I'm going to stir it around with my hand, and then I'm just going to go back over to that water hose and rinse my hand off. And that was something that I got a lot of comment on. Man, that feed you're using is expensive. Again, it was really good quality, organic feed, and I don't have anything bad to say about the feed other than it was expensive. We're using something different now because I have found something at a good price that works well for our chickens. It's also made here relatively local to us. They're about, I don't know, less than an hour away, and it's Tucker Milling. And what I have been doing, and it has worked well for us, just telling you what we do now. Get in the shade for a second. In that big garbage can that's out in the feed shed, I mix a 50-pound bag of the 22% layer pellets and a 50-pound bag of the 5-way scratch. I mix those together in that bucket, and then we scoop out of that to feed dry feed and to ferment. One of the other questions is how much feed? How much feed do I need to ferment? And that's going to look different depending on how many chickens you have. If you have 6 chickens, 10 chickens, you're not going to ferment near as much as I am at one time. We have significantly more than that. But what I would suggest is fermenting whatever you would feed them dry in a day, reduce that by about 25 to 30%, and that would be the daily amount that you would ferment for them. And I say that because I found that when you ferment the feed, 1, it expands, and 2, the nutrition increases significantly, and so they don't eat as much quantity-wise to still get the same nutritional benefits. And then again, when you're fermenting it in this water, it's swelling, so it's expanding. So the quantity still seems the same even though you've started with less dry feed. I hope that made sense. The amount I'm fermenting at one time is something else that I've changed since that last video. So in that last video, in one bucket, I was fermenting enough to feed for 1 day. And I found that really I can ferment enough in one bucket to feed over 3 days, and that's just fine. I'll just keep scooping out of this bucket for about 3 days. Now, what I put in here now was enough for 2 days, because one, I want to make sure I got plenty of room in my bucket, and it's hot right now, so it's going to ferment quickly. So I'm just doing 2 days at a time right now. If the weather was cooler, I could probably stretch it even longer. But when I say it's hot right now, yeah, it's like 90 plus degrees and humid as I'll get out here in Alabama. I'm keeping this in the shade because, again, really hot right now, and lids disappear. So I'm covering it with a towel, and that's all I need to do with this today. Tomorrow we will stir it and add some extra water because it will absorb the water that's in here, and as warm as it is right now, this will probably be ready. We'll probably do that for about 3 days. I'll show you the process over those days and what it looks like, what to look for when it's ready. And yeah, day one, this is all that I need to do right now. Let's go ahead and talk about one of the biggest comments that I have received on that other video. And that is that I'm making alcohol. This is a lacto fermentation. So the end product is lactic acid, not alcohol. So alcohol is going to be a yeast fermentation, where this right here is a beneficial bacteria type fermentation. Think like yogurt, sauerkraut, sourdough. That is a lacto fermentation. So that's what's going on with this fermented chicken feed. In both types of fermentation, you are converting sugar, but in this case, the beneficial bacteria is converting sugar to lactic acid, where in alcohol fermentation, your yeast is converting sugar to alcohol. Maybe that helps clear that up just a little bit. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know all the ins and outs of fermentation. I know what works for us. I know the research I've done and the experiences that I have had in fermentation, whether it's for our chickens, the food we eat as a family. We eat a good bit of fermented food because it's good for you. And if it's good for us, it's good for our chickens. They really enjoy it. They seem to lay better with fermented feed. The hydration, I think they're staying better hydrated. I think that they enjoy it and they're happy. And I think the extra nutrition and good bacteria that's going on in here is keeping them extra healthy. I have carrying waters to everybody now. There's one other thing that I wanted to go ahead and mention, and that is that this doesn't have to be all or nothing, y'all. I've already told you that our chickens don't get fermented feed every day. And there are times that we go through that I'm not fermenting feed. They just get dry feed every day. It's just what it is. It's not that fermenting feed is hard. Some days I just get in this habit. Sometimes I just get this habit of we're just doing dry feed. Especially when it's cooler and the fermentation process takes longer. Yeah, sometimes we just do dry feed. What I'm getting at though is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There's so many things. With chicken keeping, you hear the geese. There's so many things with chicken keeping, homesteading, life in general, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And while we're here, can we just admire Audrey's beautiful wildflower garden? I just saw a honeybee. Okay, it's day number 2. And yes, I have a cooler sitting on top of it holding the towel down because we're real fancy around here, right? It's not going to need much from me other than stir it around every once in a while. Make sure there's some liquid in there. This has absorbed pretty much all of the water I put in yesterday. There's still a little bit. Just going to stir this around. Put on a little more water. Kind of keep the top covered in water. helps prevent mold or anything from growing. If you ever made sauerkraut, it's kind of the same concept if you try to keep the cabbage under the water. And I like doing this with the whole grains in here because it keeps it from turning just completely soupy. You could do this with just crumbles or layer pellets, but they completely dissolve and turn to mush, and it gets really soupy. With this, the grains help it keep some structure. It really doesn't need, I don't think I'm going to put, I might put just a little bit of extra water. It doesn't need much. You can start. You can start if you want to.
How you gonna get them?
It don't need much. Having those grains in there helps hold it together and give it structure like I was talking about. I've just found my chickens don't care for it as much if it's really soupy and liquidy. And then fermenting those whole grains makes it easier for the chickens to digest them, because think of them as having a shell on the outside of them. Fermenting opens that up so that the nutrients can come out. The chickens can absorb the nutrients. Their bodies can digest it easier. So fermenting them makes it easier for the chickens to digest those whole grains, and it makes the structure of the fermented feed just have a little body to it without it completely turning to mush. But you can ferment just pellets, just crumbles. The texture is just gonna be a little different. It is raining outside, but let me show you what this looks like today. Can you hear the rain? So when I stir this around, we should see a decent amount of bubbles today. Yeah, see how they're coming up when I stir it around, releasing a little bit. It doesn't need any more water. I'm gonna leave it be, I think, for one more day. It has absorbed about as much liquid as it's going to absorb. This is definitely ready. We're going to go ahead and feed half of this today. So this is day number 4. It's been 3 full days. We're going into the 4th day. And this is ready. So, same shirt, different day. Been doing some things outside. I'm going to go ahead and feed the chickens and then go in and get cleaned up. But this feed is ready. Remember, we did enough for 2 days. So I'm going to feed half of it today. Here they come. The boys are helping me with the waters, so they're out while they're filling up waters. But we're going to feed half of this today and then half of it tomorrow. I'll show you how I feed it to them, but y'all, I just feed it to them. just dump it out for them. They don't like it if there's a whole lot of liquid, so pour some on the ground. They like to scratch and peck it off the ground anyway, and some of the liquid can run off. And then if I'm going to scoop it into the feeder, I just use a cup or feed scoop or whatever's handy so that I don't get too much liquid. And I make sure I keep a little liquid in there to jumpstart the next batch. Y'all don't knock the camera off now. I didn't bring a cup out here with me. I don't want to pour all the liquid off before tomorrow, so I'm just using my hand. Y'all better come on.
What are you doing?
Y'all lock the door, okay? Y'all make sure you lock the door top and bottom when you come out. Thank you for getting that water. Alright, we're gonna go walk around. Oh, here's another one coming. You better go on. Here, you want to show them Chip? Look at that puffy noggin. This video, the intentions are just to keep it basic, show you what we're doing, show you how some things have changed from the first time. The biggest thing being that I'm a little more relaxed with the process. I'm just a facilitator. Like, I just got to get the process started, make sure it has some water in it, and then feed it to the chickens. It's really that easy. I fed all the chickens half of that mixture today, and then I'll feed them the other half tomorrow, and then I'll start the process over again. So that means there's some days where it's fermenting that I don't have feed ready. So you could do a couple of buckets. You could keep a couple buckets going at the same time. I just feed dry feed on the days that I don't have fermented feed ready. And we have scraps from the garden, scraps from the kitchen, those kinds of things too. So that's just how we do it. I'll start another batch after I feed the rest of that tomorrow. Simple as that, y'all. The chickens enjoy it. It's a good nutrient boost for them. It makes the feed easier for them to digest. And that's a good thing, especially in the summertime. One, for the extra hydration, but also their body doesn't have to work as hard and heat up when it comes to digesting that food. So keeps them a little cooler, and if you feed them in the afternoon, that's a big help as well. Just trying to keep them cool in this Alabama heat.
Mama, what are you supposed to do?
Everybody's fed and happy for the day. I'm gonna go get myself cleaned up. Well, everybody outside is fed for the day. I'm gonna go get myself cleaned up and start on supper for us humans. What are we gonna have tonight? I think we're gonna do sausage and rice. Hope you found this video helpful. Want to do an updated version so that if anybody had any questions, or if you wanted to see how I've changed things, I could send people over here, and maybe you just enjoyed hanging out with us for a little while. If you are new, I'd love for you to go watch some of our other videos. If you like what you see, stick around, be a part of our family. We sure would be happy to have you. I love you. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.